My name is Evan Green. My major is theater, and I was 17, 16 when I was diagnosed.
My name is Brandon Missig. I am studying political science and I was diagnosed in fourth grade.
My name is Harrison Ryan. I'm a digital media production major, and I was diagnosed at the age of 6.
My name is Hannah. I am a digital media production major and I was diagnosed with ADHD at the age of 9.
I was diagnosed by a therapist after seeing a few different ones for months and months on end. I had a lot of behavioral issues in class, and my teachers complained to my parents about it, and they just decided behavioral therapy was the best thing until, I still had problems focusing, and none of the issues my teachers are describing got any better.
I don't entirely remember. I do remember my parents generally being quite stressed out about me between the ages of 8 and 9, and then they started seeing a bunch of doctors and specialist people were recommending. They suspected something was going on, but they didn't really know what. And apparently, at the age of 9, they took me to this psychiatrist who diagnosed me, and apparently, I got hooked up to some sort of machine that would confirm it.
First, I was on Concerta, and it left me with no appetite, and I'd get like really bad mood swings, like right when I was coming home from school at like 5 o'clock.
I was very unhappy. I was very depressed during that time, and I just didn't know how to connect with people just because I was just constantly wired on this medication that I didn't even feel like I needed that at that time. I think it definitely helped me to be more productive because that's what the medication did. A lot of research has gone into it. I just think that the different side effects don't always outweigh the benefits of this medication.
I don't think ADHD medication is necessary when the brain is early in development, like it was when I started taking medication. There's all these reports coming out now saying that sugar alters brain development, caffeine, weed, alcohol, all these different things, and you're going to tell me that amphetamine, a stimulant that produces chemicals in the brain, doesn't hinder or alter brain development? It's kind of absurd.
My parents didn't put me on medication, they instead put me on a really strict diet, and apparently there was these exercises, and I do remember at one point my dad had to pick me up by my ankles and swing me around upside down so that the blood would rush to my head, which I enjoyed. And all this somehow collectively helped me focus. I also really got into reading, so I sort of channeled all that extra energy into reading to the point where it drove the rest of my family insane. So yeah, it was a combination of factors that I think was for dealing with ADHD, and just knowing what was happening with me helped my parents be able to mentally deal with it better.
I tried a few different things to treat my symptoms of ADHD, and I found that meditating worked, but it wasn't quite as effective as the medication was when the medication was working. Um, so yeah, now I just try to truck through it. They say that ADHD isn't an inability to focus; it's an inability to feel, to have, to feel like you've done something, to feel satisfied after you complete a project or after you do something. So like sometimes it's hard to do anything like clean my room or not just sit there on the couch. I'll sit there on the couch and think about doing anything other than that for hours and hours and hours on end before I actually get motivated to do it. I used to read a lot. I can't read anymore. If I try to read, I'll read the same paragraph 4 or 5 times and not retain a bit of information. If I need to study for a test, usually I have to find audiobooks, and if I study, usually I just take good notes in class because I can focus in class. But yeah, it affects pretty much everything. It's definitely tough. Some days it's really hard to do anything.
And actually, when I was in 6th grade, we decided, my family and I, that um, the reason I was acting out was because I was bored of the material and it was too easy for me, which is, I think, not the case. So I changed to a different middle school that was like an advanced program, which was just so much worse.
When I was taking the medication, once I focused on a task, I'd do it until it was done, and I felt like I had accomplished something. It was nice, and then I would move on to the next task, and then I would move on to the next task. When I'm not on the medication, if I complete a task, it's just over, And usually, I don't just sit and start a task and finish it. I'll stop and I'll do a different task and I'll do something else.
I think that there is definitely disparity between men and women being diagnosed with ADHD because so often these types of traits, of ADHD are considered to be a more male-centric thing, hyperactivity and it's like the way even depression, it exhibits itself differently in women and men because of the way we have been socialized. Women are socialized to be quieter and more emotional, so whenever these traits are more obvious in women, we think that's depression, whereas in men, depression can come out and in more aggressive ways you wouldn't think have anything to do with depression. You just think, oh, that's a guy being guy, because that's what we're taught to think. They exhibit ways more violently, and in ADHD we have similar disparities between symptoms. So I think it's very stupid, which might be a bit blunt, but it's very stupid to think that men and women would exhibit symptoms exactly the same when we've been taught to react to everything so differently.
I think personally that the uprise in the diagnosis of ADHD has a lot to do with people just America's obsession with pills and with the pharmacies. And I think that if they think that there's an issue, they just want to give a kid a pill for it. And I just don't think that's the answer.